Good morning, everybody. It's the Bart Winkler Show. I'm Bart Winkler. I got Paul Imig here today. Hey, Paulie.
Hello.
I got Tim Shea. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
I'm pretty fucking mad. I'm pretty mad.
Right off the bat with the hard F.
Well, yeah. All right, so let me take you back to late Monday night. You know, I probably should be off Twitter at that point. And so I can't tell you how much restraint I've had when I see things on Twitter. Like Zabin's whole feed drives me fucking bonkers. And I try to not, don't do it, Bart. Don't do it. But then I saw a nice man, Eli Berkovitz. This guy does stuff with Pack-A-Day and Game On Wisconsin, CBS. Nice guy. After the Packer game, I saw that he tweeted, "No one knows what the future holds, but if that was Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer, I think I speak for all of Packers Nation when I say thank you. For 15 years, we watched you dominate every week, and I've personally enjoyed every minute of it. 5,000 likes." I said, as the kids say, cap on that shit. Every minute? You've enjoyed every minute of this? And so this is my profound Rodgers thought experiment for everyone out there today. Because I think that if you were given the chance at a do-over, you would take it. That's my profound thought. If you were given the chance, so first of all, I was thinking, if I could go back to 2005 and we just didn't draft Rodgers and we played it out with Favre and who knows what happens the next 17 years, I would almost be as bold as to say, I'd give the Super Bowl away and let me do the other path and let me see what would happen. I would almost be as bold to say that. But what I'm convinced of is if you like when you're gambling and you win like $20 and it says double or nothing, and you're like, well, I might double, I might not here. If it's like $500, you're like, I'm not going to double. I want the $500. I don't want to lose that. If you had the chance, if a genie came down, if Kang, the Conqueror came down or whatever, and he said, all right, that was Rodgers' career. Now you can either be happy with it and move on to 2023, or as a Packer fan, you can go back to Rodgers' first year as a starter, and we'll try it again and see what happens. No guarantee you're going to get a Super Bowl, but we'll try it again and see what happens. You couldn't get me to do it again quicker. You couldn't get me to do it again quicker because so if that's the answer, then and again, it's all this off the field shit. It's all the will I or won't I now that he's doing, and none of it's got anything to do about fucking COVID. You guys are idiots. But it's all this nonsense. It's the horrible ways that the Packers invented to lose. It's the McCarthy drama. It's everything. Everything. I would do it over, even with the same players, because I don't think that that's the best, timeline version. What's the Community episode? I don't think that's the best.
The dark timeline. Yeah.
I don't think this
the dark timeline.
There could be a timeline where we don't win a Super Bowl, but I don't think that that's the case. I think if you start Rodgers' career over, I think you're going to win a couple of Super Bowls. I think that so much that could have gone wrong went wrong that I would do it over. So if you're willing to say I would do it over, enough with the Rodgers gave us so much greatness. Rodgers, there's it's like you barely did anything for you, and you're like, oh, thank you. And this one Super Bowl, which I called a fluke, which I'm sorry, Bill Schmidt, I called it a fluke because Billy's like he played college football, so he's like a protector of men and that stuff. And Billy and I fought about this before. He says no championship can be a fluke. But if you look at that year compared to the other years they didn't win, that's the year they won. Also, yes, championships can be a fluke. Lakers in the bubble. So what I needed to spit out before we got going here is if you were offered the opportunity to run it back and start fresh, no guarantee of a Super Bowl, but the potential for more, in a fucking heartbeat, I would do it. Paul?
This is a great way to have framed this topic, better than I had come up with. So I'm going to parallel this. So yesterday, a buddy sent me the 2023 Zips projections for the Milwaukee Brewers. How is this relevant? because these are projections. Okay, so what they do is, as part of these projections, is they come up with essentially with each player's 80th percentile outcome, 20th percentile outcome, essentially telling you what is the ceiling of possible outcome and what is the floor of possible outcome. I would tell you that 15 years with multi-time MVP Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback, with the Green Bay Packers, with the slew of wide receivers that he had, with all of the, consistent NFC North championships that the team had, I think the floor of a 15-year Aaron Rodgers career, the worst you could do is one Super Bowl.
Right, and that's why the Packers are so – it's abhorrent that they got one with Favre and one with Rodgers, because any franchise would have figured the way to do that.
Right, and so it's like if 2010 is the one that you really shouldn't have won, but 2011 you should have. You were 15-1. You were unstoppable in the regular season. 2014 with a 99.6% chance of beating Seattle without every screw up in the book happening. Like 9 of them, I was.
You can take it all away.
So the point is, Bart really framed really well and made me think about it in a different way. I do, and again, I'm not taking a Super Bowl for granted. I really think that a 15-year, mostly healthy career of an Aaron Rodgers quarterback with a franchise, you don't win less than one. You win at least one. I think you're, like, to use the Zips projections with Fangraphs with Brewers, I think your floor of outcomes is 1. Now, maybe your ceiling is only 2, because 2 is really hard. Like, let's not let Tom Brady completely spoil the math of all of this. But I think the floor is 1. So if you're telling, if I believe that, and I believe that the floor of a 15-year Aaron Rodgers career is 1, then if you can go back to 2007 and do the 15 years over again, I think it probably isn't 2010 that you win the Super Bowl you win, but you win 1 in the next 15 years. So you would want to go back and do that again, because I don't think you would finish with fewer than the one that you got in reality.
And I think most people, if they were given the opportunity to, all right, that's what you saw, double down or start over, you would go back and try to see how it would play out.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then why are we so celebratory of this career, which there was a lot left on the field, a lot of failure, and a lot of disappointment? That's what we're admitting to ourselves. This was a nice, like, okay, you got 15 years, whatever, but this was the minimum of what it could have been, and we're just going to accept it. It's stupid.
Well, and Bart, I know I want Tim to answer the question that you posed, because it's such a good one. The one thing I would tell you, amidst your rage, is, like, I don't know who this Eagle Eye guy is. I mean, I know him on Twitter, but, like, everyone is processing this differently. And to your point about, like, the stages of grief and everything else, I don't even think like the most diehard Rodgers, fans, whether it's Horvat or this Eli dude or whoever else, I don't really think they believe that you were, every Sunday was great, and every, you never had a bad game. And, like, if you really want someone to come on and cheerlead with you against Rodgers, Bart, you would have Rob Reichel on. Because
I'm getting Rob on very soon,
because he's had many an article after playoff losses where he's chronicled just how poor Rodgers in the playoff losses has been. And, I think the Sunday night game against Detroit this year, though it wasn't a playoff game, he was okay. He was fine. But if you're starting to have a debate about who is the better quarterback, Jared Goff or Aaron Rodgers, you've already lost. Like, you can't be debating, well, which quarterback had the better game for their team, Goff or Rodgers? You've already lost at that point. You can't have that debate. Rodgers needs to be the clear-cut answer to that question, and he wasn't. And so, yeah. So I think everyone's processing it differently, and I would like to assume and think and hope that the hardcore Rodgers backers out there, even the ones who really like him personally, as opposed to you, Bart, I still think they would be real. It might not be today. It might not be 2 days removed from that post-game press conference where Rodgers at least puts more breadcrumbs down about possible retirement. And we'll talk about that with my first question. But they're processing it. Like, this is their way through it. And so I'm comfortable with letting people explore their emotional state, because I don't really think they believe that this was, like, I don't believe. What was Eli's tweet? How did he phrase that? Like every week you were the greatest or something.
I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Like, I mean, but that's how some people are processing it. But there's no way you enjoyed every minute because there was.
And even if he did up to that point, me picking a fight with him out of the blue on a Monday night about Rodgers, he probably didn't enjoy those minutes. So, ruined. Tim, what do you? Hey, Tim. What say you, Shay?
Oh, you gotta reframe the
Tim, you should start a podcast called "What Shay You."
You can be my first guest.
Okay. Or you should do 12 Twitter Spaces a day called that.
Fuck that. I'd go. Yes, I would like to see it. I'd even go as far and say, I'd like to go back to some of those playoff games where he didn't even get the ball to see how that changes if they were to get the ball first in overtime. How far could they go those 2 years? Obviously, Seattle, we all saw what happened there. But they had an Arizona playoff game. I think those teams were better, obviously, than the 2010 team, 2010-2011 team.
His career goes to a point where, like, I thought Rodgers should have come in for Favre in that cold Giants game.
And that Giants, yeah.
Favre's too old. The thing I tweeted the other day was 39-year-olds don't even like going outside to get the mail when it's cold. And yet the Packers trot them out there in the playoffs, okay? And then, so I thought, like, Rodgers could have played in some of those games. He was good enough. And then, yeah, Tim, a lot of those early games, he didn't have the chance to even get the ball. And then they changed overtime rules. And then at the end here, these 3 losses, he just was so pedestrian. Did he cost the Packers the game? I mean, he's part of it, but he was so pedestrian that he didn't win it for us.
But
I just want to say real quick that 39-year-old not even wanting to go out and get the mail in the cold. I saw that tweet. Very well said once again, because
and that gets 30 likes. But if I was gonna put out there like Aaron Rodgers, I want to fucking give you massages every day and praise you at your feet, I'll get 1 million likes.
Don't chase acclaim on Twitter. Who cares?
But the bare minimum that
But Twitter's my life. I got an email this morning. I'm not capping here. My new favorite word. It said, "You're going to lose your verification." And I cried. And then I realized it was a spam. But Elon might take verifications away. You might have to actually pay for them, which I hope so. I'd take it away. Get rid of it because all these other idiots are just buying it. Fuck you, Zabe. What, Tim?
But if what you're saying, the bare minimum, you get 1 Super Bowl, probably more, and start over, yes, then 100%.
How can I frame that online where it's? Oh, I got to work on that. All right.
How can you cut that into 280 characters?
Well, no, we're gonna get 4,000 soon from Elon. Also, that was the other thing. Let me just quickly tell you, happyplacehemp.com. Did you hear our stupid math and our great arrangement? We had decided. I went to Happy Place Hemp in Muskego. We're doing 25% off. It's anytime you want it, 25% off. CBD products, whether it's the tinctures or the topicals, like the massage I would do for Rodgers, or the gummies, which I had some the other night on the show, and it was very clear when they kicked in. We said, okay, however many points Green Bay scores, that'll be the percent off, because we thought Green Bay was going to put a bunch of points, and then they scored 16. So that would be less than the 25%. So we're just going to double it. So it's a little more. It's like a third off of products. So stock up now. HappyPlaceHemp.com, the CBD, the CBNs, the THC, the Delta 8s, Delta 9s, 32% off. Good for at least the week, through Friday. I think we'll go into the weekend. I'm not 100% sure. So HappyPlaceHemp.com, promo code Bart right now, 32% off. More right after this. And welcome back to today's show. Paul, you can ask a question now since I stole it from you.
No, yours was good. I really liked your question. Here's the one I want to ask you now. With a couple days to have reflected upon his post-game press conference, you believe Aaron Rodgers has played his last game as quarterback of the Green Bay Packers? Or mm-mm?
No, same stuff he did last year.
What percent chance then? So, but what percent chance are you giving that he's
back?
Yeah.
97. Very strong.
Okay.
He doesn't want to get traded. We've talked about this. He runs the roost here. He can do whatever he wants. Where's he going to want to get traded for? He's going to go to Vegas to play with Devontae. And who's the coach then? He's going to want McDaniels. He ain't going to like playing for him.
No.
Well, fire him and bring Sean Payton. He ain't going to like playing for him.
Why? Why not?
Because he can't control these people. LaFleur even said in his press conference, sometimes people go out of their way and try to like do a little too much. Just say Rodgers, dude. Now, after this episode, and I meant to do it, but then I got all fired up, I'm going to try to take all my Rodgers anger and not think about him for the offseason. It's going to be very hard because even if you try, he's in your face all the time. I need to direct it to Matt LaFleur, who I am very upset with.
I have a question on LaFleur coming up.
But I think Rodgers is staying. He has no intention to retire. I don't know how consciously he does it, but him getting up there and like being poetic and saying stuff it makes us not talk about how he played on the field. Then throwing reporters' names out there. Well, shit. I mean, I'm going to carry their water, and I'm carrying his water. He said my name at the podium. And Rodgers said my name. If I went there and ripped on Rodgers, and then he goes, hey, Bart Winkler, you're doing a great job. Holy fuck, I would change my whole tune if Rodgers ever said my name at the podium. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, oh, geez, I love this guy. Bring him back. He knows what he's doing, and we're all falling for it. And he's coming back because Packers aren't trading him because they fucked that up, and Rodgers doesn't want to get traded, and he ain't going to retire. So there's one option left. He's back. Yay.
Tim Shea, a couple of days to reflect on it. You believe Aaron Rodgers has played his last game as quarterback of the Green Bay Packers? Or
No, he's back. Like Bart said, we go through this whole thing. The thing is, when he does announce his retirement, he's going to do it at the beginning of the year because he wants all the attention on him, and he wants his little going away party at every stadium that he goes to. So when he does, he will announce it at the beginning of the year.
Ooh, yes, Tim. Good take.
Interesting. He wants
very solid take.
Yeah,
so next year, let's just
because then it'll be like, oh, this is his last time playing the Bears, and then even the big cats of the world will be like, I know we've fucked with you and stuff, but man, it was a great rivalry and Vikings fan, and he'll get all these franchises to say how fun it is, and people will
we will be celebrating Aaron Rodgers 17 times next year.
I mean, it's one. He gave you one Super Bowl. Am I off base on this? Someone tried to say, well, don't play this game because what if Giannis only wins one? Totally different. That is totally different.
Why?
How?
Because I like one of them and I don't like the other.
Okay.
Because the Bucks are garbage for so long, and then Giannis came and then they weren't.
So was Favre winning one? Was that enough during the Favre era because the Packers had been garbage for so long?
I would say yes. Although at the time, but now looking back, the fact that Rodgers only had one on top of Favre makes the Favre era that makes it worse too. Because now you've got two Super Bowl. You got these guys. If Rodgers won another one, we could at least say, oh, you got three with these two guys. And so Favre could kind of get some backdoor credit. Look, when they won the Super Bowl in 2010, you thought more were coming. You thought it was a dynasty. Yeah. And then if you were to, if future you were to go and tell yourself, I got to tell you something. Not only are they not going to win another Super Bowl, I'm from 2023, by the way. Not only are they not going to win another Super Bowl, they're not going to get to one. They're going to host NFC Championship games at Lambeau. They're going to lose those. They're going to be 2 minutes away from winning, up 13 points. They're going to blow an onside kick. They're going to lose 3 straight elimination games at Lambeau at the end of his career. Meanwhile, he's going to win a bunch of MVPs and still not show up in the playoffs. Are you okay with that? You'd say, what? No.
Yeah.
But I guess we are okay with it because everyone just wants to talk about how great this has been. And why am I? Is it because is it the tone of my voice? Is it because I come? Is it am I too sharp on this? Is it just not the right time? Like, why do I feel like I'm the only one that can see that this Rodgers era wasn't as good as it should have been? And I think we're just all being very like, oh, thank you. Like I can have a weekend of just debauchery and I'm snoring and I'm a shitty dad and I'm falling asleep when I'm supposed to be watching my kid and I can have a bad weekend, but then Sunday night I take out the garbage and I think I'm husband of the fucking year. How come we're letting him get away with the bare minimum?
Bart, what if he comes back next year and wins the Super Bowl?
Oh, stop.
What if they do?
Yeah, but we've been saying that for 12 years. So
what if they do?
Well, it changes everything, Tim. But are you willing to keep having him come back and try when we know what the outcome is? And now he's getting older. I mean, for them to win a Super Bowl, they have to have it where they can't play a meaningful game in Lambeau in the cold. They can't do it.
Yeah.
So they have to not win the North because they can't host a game. So you have to thread the needle because Rodgers in the cold. That's why I thought they were going to lose to the Rams because he can't play in the cold.
Well, and Tim, if you want to play out the scenario of what if he comes back and they win it all, not saying that this precludes that from happening, but the Ken Ingalls tweet that I saw yesterday said this: the Green Bay Packers paid for their 2021 all-in season by maxing out their Visa. In 2022, they maxed out their MasterCard, tightened their belt, and sold off some of their expensive toys. In 2023, they will max out their Amex and again say goodbye to some of their favorite toys. 2020, so end of tweet. So I would just say 2021 very purposefully was the year that they said, we're going to do it this year. We can do it. Look at our roster. If we just do this and that, it'll be worth it. Like, it'll be worth it. We'll take the cap pain later because we will go to a Super Bowl. Maybe we'll win a Super Bowl. It's gonna become increasingly more difficult as this new Rodgers contract kicks in to do that. Doesn't mean it's impossible. Doesn't mean that at all. But if his play is not at an MVP level, and they missed their all-in window, which they did. 2021 was the all-in year. It's going to become increasingly unlikely. Their percentage chance, of doing that, of winning a Super Bowl with Rodgers at that cap number, especially if he plays again like he did in 2022, be very hard. He needs to be an MVP, and even then, he needs to be an MVP in the playoffs, which in his back-to-back MVP years in 20 and 21, he wasn't. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to ask the question to myself. A couple days to reflect upon it. Do I believe that Aaron Rodgers has played his last game as quarterback of the Packers? There were a couple things, Bart. I don't know how much of this you noticed being in the suite at the Packers game.
Oh, God.
But, Tim, I don't know if you saw this when you were at the bar. There were a couple things. So when Rodgers very purposefully waited for Randall Cobb to walk off the field, so they were walking off together, and then someone stopped Cobb to say something, and Rodgers waited, and the cameras were following. And then they get into the tunnel, and Rodgers wants to do that arm around the back thing with Cobb. At first, the camera starts panning with them, starts following them into the tunnel. And Rodgers, you can kind of hear it, but then they start to meet the others, like, get the away, like, go, like, don't, piss off, right? So then the camera does the from behind view, because they wanted to follow them, watch the face. Instead, they settled for, like, the behind view. So between that moment, which was now, by the way, that could mean that Rodgers comes back, but Cobb doesn't. They still got their
that's moment. A Cobb moment to me.
It could be a Cobb moment. But what Rodgers said in his post-game press conference was that some of the decision is going to have to do with which of his friends are back. Mercedes, Randall, Mason, Bakhtiari. Now, what I found interesting was Mason Crosby in the locker room talked about, I feel great, I'm coming back. Bakhtiari on Monday. Did you see that part?
Mason can't come back. He's done. He cannot kick a football.
Well, he says he's coming. If given the choice, which is not always the player's choice, Crosby says, I feel great, I'm coming back. David Bakhtiari on Monday, when they're cleaning out their lockers, said, I definitely contemplated retirement, especially after that third knee surgery, but I have unfinished business. I'm coming back. Again, it might not be Bakhtiari's choice. If the Packers go to Bakhtiari and they say, hey, we need you to take a cut in your salary, we need to restructure this, and he says no, well, then he can come back all he wants, but he's not going to be. So, like, again, the players have some say in this. So I just think that Rodgers was at least very well preparing for that strong possibility that he wanted that moment or those moments with some of his guys. I definitely don't agree with you, Bart, about 97% chance that Rodgers is the quarterback next year. I would place it at
96,
55.
I was going to say like 60.
Yeah, like
I've seen this before. I've seen it. I literally watched this the last 3 years.
But at some point, the actual season finale becomes the series finale. You know, like sometimes you can choose when that is, and sometimes you just get canceled by the network. So I don't know. I think it's very slightly more likely that he is quarterback than he's not. But I think he was very cognizant of, if this is it, not just for Randall, but for me, for Aaron, I want to really do this the right way. He was very purposeful. And he always is. We know that. But I think I think this year's felt different. To me, it felt different. It totally.
Yeah, because he's not as good.
He's not as good, and you wonder how much of that he believes, right? Is he gonna do like what LaFleur did, which is say like, well, it's tough to acclimate new wide receivers. Oh, well, excuse. Or does Rodgers look at it and say, yeah, I get it. I lost 2 steps, and I don't know how I'm going to magically get that back. I do think the symmetry of playing until he's 40, he'll be 40 in December. Part of me thinks he wants to hit 40. Like there's, like how round numbers are sometimes, like with a baseball pitcher with saves, it's like 50, 100, 200, like the round numbers. I can see the symmetry of playing when he's 40 being something important to Aaron. I'm going to say he's back, but with a lot less confidence than you had, Bart.
Do you think we find out sooner?
You kidding me?
From years past, or do you think he drags this out?
No, wait, here's my telltale sign of this, how this is going to go. Bart, Super Bowl morning, there's going to be a report that comes out, and Rodgers is going to hijack the day, and because that's what he does. So we're going to find out on February 12th. Why? Because that's Super Bowl day. And why have the focus on the Super Bowl when it can be on Rodgers' future? No, I do think we'll find out.
Your audio got weird.
Give me a minute. Right back.
All right. While he does whatever he's doing, I'm going to play this voicemail from John and Franklin. This is a Carl's Place voicemail. The Carl's Place voicemail line. Place a voicemail thanks to Carl's Place. They've got golf simulators. I think one could fit back there, Timmy Shea.
Are you telling me I should go to Carl's Place and
carlofet.com/Bart? Start browsing today. Here's John and Franklin.
Good morning, it's John and Franklin. Further post-mortem on another horrible loss, late season, end of the season, that ends on Lambeau Field. Inexcusable. And there's all kinds of blame to go around. Some of it should land on Gutekunst. Going into this season, from the beginning, we knew it was a bad plan with no 1 or 2 wide receiver. Okay? That just wasn't a good plan, even if you draft some kid high. What were you going to expect? This was a team that was supposedly had Super Bowl expectations. That's why you gave a franchise crippling contract to 12, right? Because you dug yourself a hole and you had to try to make some sort of amends. Just a mess with this up front, up at the top of the organization. And that falls back down on Coach Soft Talk. Okay? So many things I can question. The misbehavior of this defense. Back in my day, there was a different coaching that went on the sideline. And if you did some crap like that, you wouldn't even want to go back to the bench, or you did it as far away from your coach as you could. You wouldn't be able to look them in the eye with this crap that you're pulling. What about going for it early in the game on our own 30? Let's take a look at that for a 30-yard line. It was somewhere around there. What are you doing? Either you have no respect for your opponent, or you just assume you could get away with it. Throw away 75 years of basic football coaching theory You got better ideas, right? Then you're on 4th and less than a yard. You're going for it out of the shotgun. Not even throwing the threat out there that you might sneak it, which probably would have got you the first down, right? And when you don't, or by the way, you line it up and you send Quadzilla into it. Isn't that what you got him for? Isn't that what he's supposed to be doing? Dylan is supposed to run that ball, not maybe to the left because we couldn't stop that guy, but maybe to the right, even if it wasn't the best running blocking on our line. What kind of message are you sending to Detroit when you don't do that? You're like waving the white flag. And if you're doing that, why are you even going for it there early in the game? A stupid, arrogant decision. And why didn't you go into this game after what happened in Detroit in the red zone? Why didn't you have a better plan on how to attack this team instead of once again getting stuck kicking a bunch of field goals, which just kept them in the game and made them, with every minute, believe that they could beat us? This team lacks toughness, and it starts up at the top. And I don't know how you're going to fix that. I really don't. But we'll have all offseason to talk about it when we're not talking about where 12's going and what he's doing and what he's taken in or whatever. I just can't wait for this offseason. It's going to be a blast.
402-915 Bart. That's John and Franklin. And I love him very much. And I think that's a good transition, Paul, maybe into ripping on LaFleur.
Let's do it. Sound better? I had to go get my charger for the computer.
Oh, you sound, God, pristine. Angelic, I'd say.
All right, good. Beautiful. Love it. After the events of the last few days, including the loss at home to the Lions, LaFleur's post-game press conference where he refused to put any blame on Rodgers, and Monday's press conference where he stated he wants Joe Barry and the whole coaching staff back, you would like to officially cast a vote of no confidence in Matt LaFleur to lead this football team. Mm-hmm or mm-mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He knows what he's doing. I mean, I believe he knows. But he gets up there, and I don't know what is he afraid of? I don't get it.
They're best friends, Bart.
There's a path that he could. Does he?
Well, the answer is what's he afraid of? I think he's afraid of confrontation.
Yes.
I don't think.
But he's an NFL head coach.
Correct. Do
you understand why I don't give these, like, there's 32 of these guys, and it's always they know more about football than you. And LaFleur does. I mean, if I'm gonna take 11 NFL players, I can take the best 11 players in the NFL, and he could have the Packers, and we could try to scheme up a game plan. And the game plan for me is gonna suck. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'll run that clock better. I'll be more forceful in my decisions. Like, just because you know football doesn't mean you're a head coach. LaFleur is not a head coach. LaFleur is the assistant to the traveling secretary of an organization.
Well, let me just say too, so Cliff Kingsbury got fired on Monday.
Yeah, good.
I saw one of the really smart football people that I follow say Cliff Kingsbury is an offensive coordinator. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe Matt LaFleur is a really great, incredible offensive mind.
He's not a head coach.
But a head coach is a different thing, man.
Yeah.
And Cliff Kingsbury might be a terrific offensive mind who would have had the same success over the past 4 years as LaFleur had if given the same circumstances. But for some guys, Kingsbury for sure being one of them, LaFleur maybe being that you're an offensive coordinator. Don't like be like, oh, he's only an offensive coordinator. That's a great job. There's only 32 offensive coordinators in the world. But maybe that's what he is.
Well, we've got a head coach on our staff. His name's Rich Bisaccia.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I don't get it. I mean, it's so frustrating to watch this team just willingly not be the best versions of themselves.
He's a step behind. He's a step behind. You fired Mo Drayton a year too late. Look what happened against the 49ers. If you keep Joe Barry, you're going to have problems.
Because he doesn't want to fight. And I've never fired anyone, and I hope I don't ever have to. By the way, Tim, we need to talk after the show.
Hashtag fire Shea.
Who's that from?
Paul Lipke.
Oh, yeah, he hates you, dude.
I know. I don't know who he is, so.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead.
While you finish that thought, I know we were having our Dan Campbell discussion after the game on Sunday. You know what Dan Campbell did in October after the game? He fired defensive backs coach Aubrey Pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they were buddies. I'm sure he hated doing it. But you know what happened after that? The season turned around for the Lions. Like, sometimes you just have to say, I hate doing this. I hope we can still, like, go
Make
past
someone
this.
else do it. Because what LaFleur doesn't want, when he fires a guy, he doesn't want that guy to come in and be like, hey, but he wants that guy to be like, I understand.
Right.
I should be fired. I get it. You're not doing this. It's time. I understand.
It's
I will
me,
leave
not
now.
you. It's me,
I love
not
you.
you.
Let's go out for drinks. Like, you're doing me a favor, actually, sir. So until it gets to that point, he won't fire anyone until it's too late. It's very look, and again, I don't want people to get but this is something different. I mean, it's not. Where did I go wrong? I want Super Bowls, and everyone's okay with one.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
Timmy?
I was just thinking about throwing Sega games at my wall again. And what I was doing.
Indestructible.
Tim,
Yeah.
Timmy, we're going around the boardroom. We're seeing if anyone wants to cast a vote of no confidence in Matt LaFleur to lead this team going forward. You'd like to cast your vote accordingly?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like I said, he's a year too late on everything, and it's going to bite him in the behind. Trying to be nice.
what were you gonna say?
It took Bart 6 seconds in this episode to drop a really hard F.
Yeah.
You're toiling around, but
Whatever.
You wouldn't even say butt.
Have Rich Bisaccia do it. Just
Yeah.
have him be the fire guy.
Yeah, say, Rich, can you fire Joe Barry?
Like keeping Joe Barry is just it doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. I mean, they're best friends, so let them fail for.
I thought they didn't even know each other.
Let them fail for another season. Oh no, they're buddies.
were they
Yeah.
previously?
Yeah, out in wasn't he?
I think Tim doesn't know he's talking about. He's making shit up.
No, they were friends.
No, they weren't. Tim.
Yes, they were.
I can look it up.
Okay, whatever. No,
They were friends of friends.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah. It's different.
They were coaching together in Washington.
Nah, it's somebody else.
God.
All right, what's next?
All right.
But yeah, no, don't. I mean, absolutely not.
I would say I appreciate the thought that you need to see Matt LaFleur with a different quarterback, the one he drafted for his offense. I would want to say that that's true. But I think what LaFleur said after the game on Sunday, he was obviously upset they lost and all of those things. The thing that he was most emotional about was what Quay Walker did. And in that comment, he said about himself, LaFleur said about himself and said about his coaching staff, that it's on them to make sure that their players are disciplined enough to not do the stupid stuff. That is, I know they're rookies, and I know Devontae Wyatt did something stupid too. They're rookies, they're young people playing a very pressure, high-impact sport, and emotions can take over. Part of my vote of no confidence, which I don't – Bart, this isn't Jason Kidd with the Bucks. The house is not on fire. I think someone left something plugged in that they shouldn't have, and a fire could start, like while you're sleeping. That could very well happen. But it's not on fire. But I'm worried about the discipline that the style of a Matt LaFleur is having, or in this case, not having. If he doesn't have enough control over Joe Barry, and Joe Barry doesn't have enough control over his defensive players, that Quay Walker gets ejected twice. Quay Walker has been ejected at 100% of the games Bart Winkler has seen him in.
Yeah, 2
for 2. I mean, but jokes aside, like that is the results. Results are always number one. It's a results-based league. I get that. I think there's just some, and Bart, I saw this morning before we connected, you retweeted a clip, I think, from Andy Herman. 4th and 2, season on the line, 4th quarter. All the Lions need is 3 yards to get a first down. And the defensive play call was just straight up gifted the Lions the 3 yards they needed. None of the pressure coverage.
Yeah, and Goff barely completed the pass.
Right. So the point is like you just can't. That can't be allowed. That can't be something where like, yeah. But and you know what even made me more frustrated with LaFleur at his Monday press conference was his justification for bringing back Joe Barry was that he showed improvement late in the year. Listen to the comment and tell me, like, I don't know if you've actually heard it or if you've read it, but whether for you two guys or anyone listening, LaFleur justified the decision, or at least the thought process, because I suppose he could still fire him, but he said he intends to bring everyone back, including Joe Barry. He said, I really enjoyed, appreciated, whatever the word LaFleur used, the improvement that we saw, the adjustments that we saw late in the year. That can't be enough. That can't be like the keep your job qualifier to say, yep, you did enough.
Well, no, the improvement was you're doing enough to make me not feel like I have to fire you. When you're referencing that thing with Quay,
yeah,
LaFleur in that press conference, because everyone knew what Quay did was wrong.
Right.
So then LaFleur was like, he took a stance. He says, we can't do that. That is not acceptable.
Yep.
For the thing that everyone agrees.
Right.
and then when it's like Joe Barry, it's like, well, we'll bring Rodgers. I'll talk to him this week. What about Quay? Oh, he cannot do that. Well, if you could just be that guy,
yeah,
like I don't know. Everything's got to be 100% before he, like, oh God.
Yeah, so listen. I don't think I would want now this would never happen, but I don't think you want to fire Matt LaFleur. I just think you want to demote him to offensive coordinator.
No, you want to tell Matt LaFleur, hey, we're going to let Bisaccia coach each game from the start. You take 3 laps around Lambeau Field. If when you get back, we're losing, you can take over. But if we're winning, Rich finishes the game. You go up in the box and listen to Wayne Larrivee talk the whole time, right, screaming in your fucking ear.
And Bart, I know you've gotten heat for this take, and I know that you brought this take to CBS National Sports Radio, that you could coach a team to 9-8 or whatever your thing is.
I did say that on national radio. I did.
But here's the thing about that. I don't want to discredit Matt LaFleur for his 13 win seasons to start his career.
Yeah, he's my proof.
So here, let me just say this. Like, I don't want to discredit that. He doesn't get 0% credit for that. He gets some credit for that. But let's be completely honest. If us 3 dum-dums inherited the Green Bay Packers team that Matt LaFleur did, we're winning 9 of those 13.
Yeah.
10 of those 13. So if you want to say like LaFleur still had a war of 2 or 3 versus like total, like whatever, like, people want to talk about this on a podcast. Fine. You can have a couple of those, but you don't get 13 of those. Like what you inherited, no, you didn't build that. You took a really great job and you did what you should have done.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is when the tests are coming into play, and he very, very, very firmly, he's failed his 3 playoff tests in the previous years, and this one's really damning. I don't think he's a bad coach. I think much like Cliff Kingsbury, I think we're going to reflect on LaFleur in 5 years and 10 years and say, really good offensive coordinator, really, really top-notch, top 5 offensive coordinator.
I'm not even there yet.
Does not have the right stuff to lead a team as a head coach. I think that's going to be the post-career analysis of LaFleur.
Does he get a pass until Love plays?
I think he does.
So that could be another 2 years.
Or at the very least, until Murphy retires, because this is Murphy's guy.
That's in 2 years, or that's next year. Yep.
Is it? Well, do we know?
I thought it was in the summer of 24.
But they'll get one more season and then they'll gain.
I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I heard the
Okay.
summer of 24.
Anything else you want to say about LaFleur before we move on?
Yeah, he was wildly unqualified to get this job. And look at where he came from. You can go back to when he was in Washington and he mentored RG3 and Kirk Cousins. Okay. Then he went to Notre Dame and mentored Everett Golson. Don't even remember who that is. Then he was on the sideline. You know why Matt LaFleur doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, guys? Because the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead. Oh, yeah. He was the offensive coordinator of that team. Then he went to the Rams and did nothing. And then he went to Tennessee and didn't play Derrick Henry. And then he got hired as the coach.
Yeah.
Look, again, I'm sure all these people are nice guys. It's part of the nature of being whatever the fuck it is I am. But I want, God, jeez.
Can you put up a poll on this, Bart? Like about, would you like to cast if you were in the room, would you cast a vote of no confidence in Matt LaFleur to lead this team moving forward?
You can do it. I'll retweet it.
Okay. I know we were 3-0 on this. I think if we were to bring in, the whole StreamYard post game thing, and you had 100 people in here, I think you'd get a majority. I think you'd get a majority who would say vote.
Nobody has confidence in LaFleur. The only reason might be because they're being LaFleur about it and don't want to do it too soon, just in case they're making the wrong decision.
Yeah, fair, very possible. All right, here's a slight pivot. Over the next 5 years, the NFC North team that will win the most games. Over the next 5 years, the NFC North team that will win the most games is the Packers. Mm-hmm. Or mm-mm.
I don't know.
Show your work. What are you thinking? What are you debating?
I'm thinking, okay, I thought of Detroit, but what's their quarterback situation going to look like? Then I thought of the Bears, but will they actually figure it out? And I thought of the Vikings, and everyone seems to forget about them. Then they win 9 or 8 games, 8, 9. They're going to average 9 wins a year. But then what are the Packers going to do? Are they going to go to Jordan Love? If I say yes, am I saying yes because I think Jordan Love can be the guy, or am I saying Rodgers is going to come back, or what? Oh, by the way, thank you for this. When I say I want Rodgers to leave, out, goodbye, so often the response is, okay, brace yourself for 20 years of bad quarterback play. Where does the fucking 20 come from? Where does it come from? It's always 20. Brace yourself for 20 bad years of quarterback. Where does that number come from? Why is it 20? Maybe it's none. Maybe Jordan Love's good. Maybe Jordan Love sucks. And then they draft a guy or trade for a guy. Maybe it's 1 year. Why is it always 20 fucking years? So if Rodgers retires, we're not going to have a good quarterback until 2043. Fuck that.
Because Packer fans think of what was before.
This is Packer fans, every fan. Every NFL person has decided that when Rodgers retires, it's going to be exactly 20 years of bad play. Where is that coming from? I'm going to say because Jordan Love is the fucking real deal. And Jordan Love is going to be so good that people are going to be like, oh my God, we had this guy sitting behind Frosty McOldnuts for 3 fucking years.
Timmy, over the next 5 years, the NFC North team that will win the most games is the Packers? Or mm-mm?
I will go pending what happens to Chicago. They're going to fuck it up somehow, some way. The NFC North is just so unstable. I think it's a 1 year hit here for the Vikings. The Lions are going to be the Lions. They'll probably win 4 games next year. Yeah, I don't. No.
Well,
I
that's a
think
bold.
that-
That's a bold claim.
That is
Yeah. I don't. I'm not buying into the Lions quite yet.
they also have the number 4 pick in the draft because of the Rams trade.
That's fine. I'm not buying into them. They need to do this multiple years until I can say yes. So just by default, I guess.
Why not? We'll see. Goff's serviceable. They got a good defense. Amon-Ra is going to be one of the better wide receivers in the league. Paul's best friend Jamal Williams plays on the team.
They need to do it if they do it next year again. If they compete, they need to make the playoff. They need to make the playoffs.
I would just say Jamison Williams is obviously going to improve now that he's healthy. Aiden Hutchinson.
Plus, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder for not getting Rodgers' jersey.
It's true. Aiden Hutchinson was great. I mean, they're not like. And by the way, Bart, you said their quarterback situation in Detroit. Dan Campbell went very, very strong in saying Goff is our guy. So they're not.
Goff is a lot younger than we think he is.
He was like, what, 27, 28?
28. I think everyone thinks he's like 33.
No.
He's 28.
Was he the same year as Carson Wentz? Was Goff 1 and Wentz 2? Is that what it was? I think that's right. I know Wentz is 29.
2016 NFL draft.
Goff,
Wentz, Bosa, Zeke, Ramsey. Wow.
Yeah.
Who did we take?
I was just about to ask you that. Who did we take that year?
Oh, Kenny Clark. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just by default. And
so rank them real quick. Next 5 years, total number of wins in the division.
Packers,
then who?
Packers, Vikings.
Well, what's
Lions.
the Vikings quarterback situation going to be?
Okay, so let me just talk through that and think of your order of 4. I have low confidence in the Vikings over the next 5 years because Cousins, they're going to have to make a transition at some point in those 5 years. The Bears have the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
They're going to be good, maybe.
A stud young quarterback and $100+ million of cap space this offseason. The Bears might only win like 5 games next year, but in years 2, 3, 4, 5 of this scenario, if they do this right, and I know that's a big if, and I know like Rami Makloff and other Bears fans are like, yeah, huge if. But if they do this right, man, the Bears are really well positioned to be the answer to this question.
If I'm the Bears, I trade Justin Fields and sign Lamar Jackson.
Well, I want to talk. I mean, when you were saying the whole thing about 20 years of bad quarterback play with the Packers, bring in Lamar.
Yeah, fuck yes, please.
I mean, I'm not kidding.
Why would you? How is that even a joke? He's
It's
an
not.
MVP. We love MVPs that don't win Super Bowls.
Lamar is not going back to the Ravens. He's not going back to the Ravens.
I changed my answer. I'm going to go and then I'll go Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings.
Whoa.
That's how I rank them.
Scooted them down to 3rd.
You changed my mind.
I'm going to go Bears, Packers.
Yeah, You changed my mind. It's easy. It's an easy question now.
We're all shitting on the Bears. We shouldn't be.
Who'd you go first with, Tim? Lions or Bears?
Lions. You made me Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings.
I think if I was, because I think of it as like if I was buying future stock, and I was thinking of as like what team is best positioned to like, be a good return on investment in the next 5 years.
I have the fucking hottest take.
Hit it.
It's not so much. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I have 4 minutes, and I would love to hear this. Go for it.
I was just thinking. I wish the Bears were an AFC team.
Oh, you'd root for the hell out of them,
so I could like them. Yeah, I want to. They're great history. They're close. Chicago's a good sports town. It'd be fun to go down and watch some games.
I think Minnesota over these next 5 years, Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver, period, end of discussion. But Dalvin Cook is old in running back years. Dalvin Cook is old.
No,
Kirk Cousins, he's 28. He's been around for 7 years. He was in the Kevin King draft class.
Jared Goff's 28.
They're playing vastly different positions.
I got one more.
Okay.
Stetson Bennett, Green Bay Packers quarterback.
He's almost Aaron Rodgers' age.
So he is Lamar's age.
He is Lamar's age.
He's the same age as Jordan Love, right?
Do you have any questions that you need to get out, or
no? I'm trying to think of my ranking, and then I'll ask the last one real quick, and you guys can debate it. I'm gonna say if I was buying future stock, I would buy it in the Lions first because I think they've proved that 9-8 is a starting point for being realistic. Having 2 picks in what would essentially be the lottery of the NFL playoffs, they get number 4 overall from the Rams, and then they get number 18 from their own not making the playoffs. I think they have they're really built to do this. I'm gonna say them first. I'm gonna say the Bears second because of what we talked about, the $100 million in cap space and Justin Fields. I'm gonna put the Packers third, and so I think maybe Tim and I we wound up in the same place. Packers third, and Vikings fourth. The Vikings are gonna, after 1 year, if we did like a 1 year from now, I think we're gonna look back and say, because the Vikings are gonna be very well set up to win the division again next year. But I think years 3, 4, and 5 could be really rough in this scenario for Minnesota, and could be a very, very drastic turn in the division. And that's not even like not buying Jordan Love. I just don't know what the Packers are in 3 years. Who's the coach? Who's the quarterback? What are they? I don't know what the Packers are in 3 years. So I sure as hell don't know what they are in 5 years.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about what the 2026 Packers will look like? You know what I do know?
Yeah, 44-year-old Aaron Rodgers will be contemplating retirement.
I think you do know what the Bears and Lions will mostly sort of look like. So here's the one I'll leave you with, and you can talk about it. And I'll give you my answer right away. The wild card weekend game you're most looking forward to is Cowboys-Buccaneers on Monday night. Or I'm going to say Give me Chargers, Jaguars. Yeah, okay, Timmy. On Chargers, Jaguars. I would say this. Obviously, the game that the NFL, apparently ESPN for Monday Night Football, fought like hell to get Buccaneers, Cowboys, which makes sense. It's a game at Jerry World. It's Tom Brady.
Well, it's really the only good game.
The game's in Tampa.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It is in Tampa. So, sorry, you're right. Despite having like 3 fewer wins.
All these games, the playoffs are going to be real good divisional round. These games are. What are these games?
Yeah, there's not. That's what was hard. Like, I think the Packers 49ers would have the NFL clearly would have wanted Packers 49ers, so they could have
been Saturday primetime. I'm pretty convinced of it.
Yeah, very possible. So I'm going to say Chargers Jaguars is mine. Tim, what's yours? Bart, what's yours? And then I'm going to
go. Cowboys Buccaneers.
Chargers Jaguars.
Okay. Keep talking with yourselves. Good to see you. Talk soon.
Bye, Paul.
Bye.
Paul Imig.
I can't wait to see how bad the Seahawks get beat. By the 49ers, though.
I don't know yet.
And then everyone's going to sit back and say, well, I'm glad that wasn't the Packers in there, you know.
Yeah, hey, there's one good thing that came of this. It's that we won't lose to – I think we were going to beat the Niners because it wasn't going to be in the cold, and Brock Purdy ain't that good.
Stop.
Anything else you want to say?
I still have – no, I don't. I don't
either.
Your Christmas present is still here, by the way. I need to
give me a Christmas present?
Yeah, I need to give you your Christmas.
I didn't even know you got me one.
Yeah, I did.
Why?
I just was feeling generous this season.
I didn't get you nothing.
Oh, that's okay.
What'd you get me? What'd you get me?
I got you this 2 free Loge level ticket offer from the Milwaukee Brewers. Still have it. So, Merry Christmas.
I got you a Christmas present. I did, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I gave your email to Emma Baker of the Milwaukee Bucks. She'll be contacting you soon for tickets.
Great. Emma, can't wait to hear from you if she listens.
All right. Tim, love you, buddy.
Love you, Bart.
Talk later.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap. The next show will be live post-game. Thursday's show, I plan to be live post-game Bucks-Hawks. That's who they play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Zach Gelb. Playoff preview with Zach Gelb of CBS Sports Radio. That'll be Thursday's show. That's it. See you, Tim.